Welcome to this myInnergo presentation for Vita and the Sport micronutrient package. Today we'll have a look at each of the aspects within the package and have an explanation of each one. As you can see from the overview, we're going to look at bone density and calcium intake, folate, iron, magnesium, omega-3, selenium, umami taste, but that's only for Vita purchasers, vitamin B12, vitamin B6, vitamin D, and vitamin A. It may be worth grabbing yourself a pen and paper to make notes throughout the presentation. Bone density and calcium intake. Calcium is required for a strong skeletal system and bones. Calcium has other usages, such as muscle contraction and blood clotting. In general, adults need around 700 milligrams of calcium per day. Some people are at increased risk of calcium deficiency. This could mean that you're not getting enough from food due to your body's ability to absorb it. It is therefore recommended that if you are at higher risk, that you increase your intake of dairy-based products or calcium-rich foods. Non-dairy based foods that are high in calcium include things like sardines, legumes, and spinach. Also, fortified foods such as fortified cereals and breads are also high in calcium. Those involved in weight-bearing sports or high-impact sports such as football, rugby, basketball, or those involved in activities such as weightlifting, resistance-based training, powerlifting, or bodybuilding may require more calcium than those who aren't involved in these types of activities. This is because these activities normally increase bone density and the body requires more calcium to do this. Folate, vitamin B9 and folic acid are all interchangeable. Folate is important for DNA synthesis, cell division, substrate methylation, and is important during pregnancy. The majority of adults require 0.2 milligrams of folic acid a day, whereas pregnant women require 0.4. Luckily, folate naturally occurs in a wide variety of foods. These include vegetables, particularly the dark green leafy type, certain fruits and fruit juices, nuts, beans, dairy products, poultry and red meat, eggs, seafood, and even certain beer. Avocado, spinach, liver, asparagus and Brussels sprouts are among some of the best foods to have as they have the highest levels of folate within. If you have come back at an increased risk of folate deficiency, it is recommended that you increase these foods as mentioned before. If you are pregnant and are worried about your folate intake, it is wise to go see your GP. Iron is essential for every cell in the body. A lack of iron is a leading cause of anemia. Males should get 8.7 milligrams per day, whereas females should be getting 14.8 milligrams per day. Iron can be found in multiple foods. The biggest ones are dark green leafy vegetables, such as watercress and kale, iron fortified cereals and bread, brown rice, beans and pulses, seeds and nuts, white meat as well as red meat, fish, tofu, eggs, and even things such as dried fruit, such as apricots, prunes and raisins. Those who have come back higher risk of iron deficiency should really concentrate on the foods above. Especially for females, if you are worried about anemia caused by iron deficiency, it is recommended that you go see your GP. Those involved in physical activity or intense exercise are recommended to increase the foods mentioned before. This is because you are at greater risk of being iron deficient due to the type of activity that you do. It is never recommended to supplement iron into the diet without consulting your GP first. Magnesium is an important nutrient for our bodies. It is required for correct metabolism, energy production, and heart function. Recommended allowance for adults is 250 milligrams per day, and those who supplement magnesium often take it at night as they say it helps them sleep. Magnesium is found in multiple foods. These include dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, fish, beans, whole grains, avocados, yogurt, bananas, dried fruit, dark chocolate, and others. If you have come back high risk of magnesium deficiency, it is worth concentrating on these foods. If you have come back high risk of magnesium deficiency and are involved in intense physical activity or exercise, it may be worth purchasing some magnesium supplements up to 250 milligrams to 300 milligrams, and that should be taken at night just before sleep. Omega-3 is a fatty acid that helps with cell membranes, blood clotting, and protection against heart disease, amongst other beneficial aspects. It is recommended that we get 250 milligrams to 500 milligrams of omega-3 per day. Fish tops the bill for omega-3. Look out for halibut, herring, mackerel, oysters, salmon, sardines and trout. And if you can get tuna, make sure it's fresh, and they all contain high amounts of omega-3. You will also find that some dairy foods and juices are also fortified with omega-3. If you have come back at a high risk of omega-3 deficiency, it may be worthwhile getting yourself a supplement or increasing the foods mentioned before. Selenium is important for the immune system, thyroid function, and inflammation within the body. It is recommended that we get 200 micrograms per day. Without doubt, the best source of selenium are Brazil nuts. It is worthwhile just having a handful a day for all your selenium needs. However, they can also be found in chia seeds, brown rice, sunflower seeds, flaxseed, sesame seeds, broccoli, cabbage, and spinach. If you have come back high risk of selenium deficiency and are involved in intense activity or exercise, it is worthwhile increasing your selenium intake slightly over the recommended allowance. The umami taste receptor can vary on the individual. It is activated by the amino acid glutamate and is found on the tongue and in the gut. It tastes for savoury and fatty taste qualities and can help you understand your eating habits and appetite. Vitamin B12 is one of the most common nutritional deficiencies and can cause anemia. It is needed for energy and is required for multiple bodily functions. The recommended allowance is 5 micrograms to 10 micrograms. However, being a water-soluble vitamin, dosages up to 3,000 micrograms have not shown any side effects. Foods that are rich in vitamin B12 include sardines, salmon, tuna, cod, lamb, scallops, shrimp, beef, yogurt, and cow's milk, and other dairy-based foods. If you have come back higher risk of vitamin B12 deficiency, it is highly recommended that you increase the foods as mentioned before. If you are vegan and don't currently take in any of the foods mentioned, it is highly recommended that you supplement vitamin B12 into your diet, especially if you have come back at high risk of deficiency. Vitamin B6 is required for red blood cell production, carbohydrate metabolism, neural health, and liver function. The recommended allowance is 1.5 micrograms and higher. However, as a water-soluble vitamin, it is highly unlikely that you will ever overdose from it. Vitamin B6 can be found from pork, chicken, turkey, most fish, breads, whole cereals such as oatmeal, wheat germ and brown rice, eggs, vegetables and soya. If you have come back at a higher risk of deficiency and are involved in intense physical activity or exercise, it is recommended that you increase the foods mentioned before and probably supplement B6 into your diet, which is normally taken at night. Vitamin D is required for bone health as it allows calcium to be absorbed. It is also important for immunity and neural health. It is synthesized from sunlight and is normally poorly absorbed from food. If you have come back at a higher risk, it means you are not synthesizing sunlight as well as others. Sunlight is also dangerous to our skins and therefore it's not recommended to stay forever out in it. However, spending some time in the daylight is important for our bodies to absorb the correct amount of vitamin D. Foods that are high in vitamin D include fatty fish like tuna and mackerel, also salmon. Foods that are fortified with vitamin D include orange juice, some cereals, and some dairy products. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin and is required for skin and nails, our eyesight, energy metabolism, and connective tissues. Vitamin A comes in two forms in our diet, beta-carotene and retinol. Beta-carotene-rich foods include beetroot, carrots, and bell peppers. When taking in beta-carotene, our body needs to turn that into retinol or vitamin A within the body. Retinol-rich foods are already available and they come from meats such as beef, fish, and normally the livers of most animals. If you are at increased risk of vitamin A deficiency genetically, it means that you are poorly utilizing the beta-carotene that you take in. It is therefore recommended that if you are vegetarian or vegan or avoid meats, that you supplement vitamin A into your body. However, be careful not to go over the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A. And there we have it, the conclusion to the small presentation on Vita and micronutrients on the sport package. If you have not yet bought a package, why not visit our website now on www.myInnergo.co.uk and choose an applicable package from the selection we have.